Show of hands. Who here has had at least one unhealthy relationship in their life? Show of hands as well. Who else here has also gotten rid of at least one unhealthy relationship in their life? Just kidding, I can't see anybody. Yeah, unhealthy relationships. Let's talk about them. It's wild when you've experienced probably nothing but unhealthy relationships in your life, right? That was the reality for me, 5 and more years ago. I would say closer to, like a decade ago, really. And before that, too. Not going to name any names. Boundaries. That's what this is about. But unhealthy relationships, let's talk about them. How do you feel in a relationship that is not healthy? Do you feel unseen? Do you feel unheard? Do you feel unsafe? Do you feel abused? Do you feel, do you feel toxic? Do you feel like you're in a space that just isn't right? Now, it's important for me to say, because this is just important and part of healing, part of responsibility, part of accountability. As I reflect, I have contributed to unhealthy relationships. I'm not here to play any victim. I have enabled. I have been a person who approaches things from an unhealthy standpoint. So I check myself in to this same space of, recognizing me, right? Recovery and all that kind of stuff. But man, unhealthy relationships, there are many different dynamics that contribute and attribute to that which is an unhealthy relationship, right? What does it feel like to be in an unhealthy relationship? Well, if you don't know that it's unhealthy, it feels like home. Isn't that crazy? People that are raised in environments where they learn unhealthy dynamics of relationships, they learn that stuff's normal. And they then, therefore, just continue to seek that because that feels like home to them. That feels familiar. It feels comfortable. It feels normal. And abuse is not normal. It's not healthy. Dysfunctionality is not normal. It's not healthy. Toxicity is not normal. It's not healthy. Raising your voice is not normal. It's not healthy. I've spent plenty of time raising my voice. I've spent plenty of time yelling. All that kind of stuff. I've said hurtful things at points, right? And I'm at this point now where I'm really just like reflecting on myself and understanding what it is that I want for myself moving forward, recognizing my own patterns, my own behaviors, my own thoughts, feelings, all that kind of stuff, and doing the best that I can to just put certain things to bed, but for good, But let's talk about, maybe not entirely being out on the other side of unhealthy relationships, but if you are somebody who has experienced nothing but unhealthy relationships and you've been treated like shit, or you have treated other people like shit, it doesn't matter where you are. What matters, or not to say that it doesn't matter where you are, but what really matters here is when you maybe don't feel, there we go. When you maybe don't feel fully worthy of healthy relationships, but they actually try to make their way into your life. And maybe somebody actually listens to you. Maybe somebody actually holds space for you to be able to be vulnerable, to be able to explore your emotions and talk and actually feel safe. right? You've spent so many years being conditioned by feeling unsafe, feeling like you can't open up your heart, right? This entire thing right here is a garden, right? And in order to totally blossom, fully blossom, you have to be watered. And being watered is having space held for you. Being watered is literally being watered. And maybe that's being told the best thing that you need to be told for yourself. Maybe that is just being listened to, right? Maybe you spent so many years of your life being given unsolicited advice that you never wanted because other people thought that they knew what was best for you, and they don't. And they don't even take their own advice, right? But the feeling of being scared of sabotaging healthy relationships when they're coming into your life because all that you've known is unhealthy, dysfunctional relationships, it's scary. And the fascinating thing is, too, I can imagine that a lot of people that have had a string of unhealthy relationships have also displayed patterns of attachment styles that are along the lines of, anxious or anxious avoidant, whatever, like you don't feel like you're worthy of anything good. You don't feel like you're worthy of being listened to. You don't feel like you're worthy of being felt, heard, understood, seen. You don't feel like you're worthy of talking without being talked over, right? And so whenever a healthy relationship comes into your life, it's like you don't know what to do with it. You don't know what to do about it. And it's challenging to just let it be there, because maybe you feel intimidated by it. Maybe it's challenging you to commit. Maybe it's challenging you to follow through with what it is that you're saying you're going to do, or that you could do, or what could possibly happen. That commitment, right? That challenges you because previously the unhealthy dynamic of the other relationship, which was just one of the other relationships in your life, in terms of the string of, multiple unhealthy relationships, emotional abandonment, right? Maybe you were so used to the dynamic of emotional abandonment that when you actually find somebody showing up for you, it gives you anxiety, right? It makes you feel like you need to run away because it's kind of scary for you, because then that means that you need to commit as well. Because what emotional abandonment teaches a person is to emotionally abandon themselves and other people, right? And so therefore, when this healthy relationship does come into your life and they don't emotionally abandon you, you emotionally abandon yourself and them, because you're not used to that dynamic. You don't believe that you're worthy of that dynamic. And not only that, but somebody showing up for you actually scares you, right? And so you might actually run, right? And that's wild. It's wild that when somebody shows us that we're worthy, we run. When somebody shows us, these healthy dynamics, we don't believe that we're worthy of it, and we run away from it, and we sabotage it, right? When we've had nothing but unhealthy relationships and we've experienced nothing but physical or emotional abandonment, right? And then we have these people come into our lives that want to be there for us, that want to care for us, want to love us, want to support us, are committed to us. It's like we don't know what to do with it, right? And it kind of scares us. Something happened recently in my life where I was in a situation with a person, and it was wonderful. But I found myself repeating a pattern of thought from the past, right? And I don't know if it was then or now, but I'm realizing something. The answer to everything, and I have told many lies in my life. I really have. I've told many lies. I've lied to people. I'm not proud of it. But the answer to everything is just being honest. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. If you're afraid of losing somebody, lose them. Like, when I say that, I mean, like, if you're saying yes because no means losing the person, say yes. The person is probably not meant to be in your life. And if they are, it's because they'll understand why you're saying no, right? The answer to all of this stuff is just congruency with what it is that you actually want and communicating that and not being afraid. And not only that, here's the beauty of communication. First and foremost, let me just make this clear. If somebody is not willing to listen to you, they're not meant to be in your life. It's that fucking simple. Period. Now, other than that, if you want somebody if you want somebody in your life, one, don't force them there. But two, communicate in fine, thorough detail what it is that you want so that they can understand. If you don't have money, don't act like you do. If you can't pay for something, don't act like you can. Right? That's just the reality of things. If you can't do something, don't act like you can. In my own life, I have told people that I can do something when I really couldn't, and it seriously fucked me up. It led me to betray people, and it led me to fuck dynamics up, right? I'm a flawed human. I appease sometimes, I do this, I do that, whatever. But really, I focused on the aspects of unhealthy relationships, right? And having a string of those throughout your entire life and having that being comfortable and familiar, right? And I've also talked about sabotaging healthy relationships, right? Because you don't feel worthy of them, right? They kind of challenge you. They show up and you're like, what the fuck do I do with this? I don't know what to do with this. I don't feel worthy of it. I don't really know how to approach it. It's like they're challenging me to commit to myself and to them, and I don't know yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. The best thing in my understanding, the best thing in my understanding and experience that a person can do when they're in a situation of coming out of unhealthy relationships and finding healthier relationships coming in, and I've heard this said before, communication is one of the most important things that a person can use in their own personal life, talking to themselves. Yes, we can talk to ourselves. We do talk to ourselves. If you don't, I definitely recommend it. It's a fucking awesome practice. Self-talk, self-care, self-love, self-help, all that stuff. Communication, right? It's one of the most important things that we can utilize in our relationships with people. And when we don't, it seriously messes up our relationships. That's just the way that it is, right? And so, talk to people. Communicate what it is that you want. They're either going to stay or they're not. If they don't, great. If they do, great. But that's just the reality of it. Now, in terms of a healthy relationship, and I'm going to end off with this, if you need to communicate exactly what it is that you're feeling, good news. Healthy people are going to listen. They're going to stay. They're not going to run away. They're not going to betray because they're healthy. They have healthy boundaries. They know how to hold space. They know how to take specific approaches to understand, yes, all you have to do is communicate. Communicate what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you want, what you need, what you don't want, what you don't need. It's much more likely to work out with healthy people. And that's the beauty. Here's the thing. This is what I'll end off with, I swear. Healthy people are unlike unhealthy people because they're actually healthy. Right? What you're scared of in healthy people because of unhealthy people is different. You're scared of the abandonment from unhealthy people. Healthy people aren't going to give you that because they have healthy boundaries. They're going to give you the respect, the time, the space. They're going to listen to you. They're going to hold you. They're going to communicate to you. If you don't want unsolicited advice, they're not going to give it to you. So what you think you need to do with healthy people that you've been doing with unhealthy people is actually backwards. Communicate to the healthy people, right? Actually tell them what it is that you're feeling. Because if they actually are going to be in your life, or if they're actually going to care about you and love you and be there for you, they're going to do it regardless of whatever it is that you're going through. And that's the difference between healthy people versus unhealthy people.